So there's several programs that Roosevelt, or at least there's one program that is currently offered, the Challenge program.
Correct.
Is that's only in a handful of schools, or is it? No, it's just at Roosevelt.
It's only at Roosevelt
and
and
Edison Middle
Correct.
School.
Uh-huh.
And prior to that, I was looking, there was a SAGE program.
Yes.
And it went away. It sounds like it was a financial decision.
Yes.
So there's other opportunities for kids to learn a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the school district is experimenting with working with Studer Group.
Mm-hmm.
What has your experience been with that interaction?
Well, I've had a very good experience with it. I was trained out in Boston. That means I attended a 2-day training session with Quint Studer. And I was totally enthralled with that experience because it was geared mainly to the healthcare profession. And I knew nothing about the healthcare profession, but I found out that they have a lot of similarities with education. So many of the things that I heard applied directly to education. So I really enjoyed that opportunity, and I was with 7 of my peers, not all principals, but in various roles. Mm-hmm. So we became better friends because we spent that time together and learned together and have since been together. And then coming back and implementing it, some people have been trained earlier than others. Some are still now being trained. But we have found that there are many things that are very helpful in education that Quint Studer has offered to healthcare for years and years. And one of those things has to be rounding. That's an opportunity to visit with staff and really listen. I think probably in the past I didn't spend the time. I was on the run. I was going through the halls and might have had a minute or two with a staff member. But this is a deliberate opportunity for staff to talk about what's going well, what's a problem, what do they need more of. And that's been a fantastic experience for me because some of the smallest things were easily cured. And some of the biggest dreams in terms of materials were affordable.
Isn't that interesting that sometimes somebody's big dream can be so easily fulfilled?
Mm-hmm. It is. Yes. I remember the teacher that I was asking, are there any materials she needed? And she said yes, she really had an old slate board in her room and the chalk wasn't clinging to it anymore, and she really would love to have a whiteboard. And I said, well, we can arrange for that. She'd never told me that before, but I'd never taken time to ask her. So she became so excited, I was afraid she thought I was ordering a smart board for her. And it wasn't a smart board.
It wasn't like a computerized everything, it was just a whiteboard.
It was a whiteboard. And when it was installed, she was so grateful. And I probably would not have known she needed that, or I might have discovered it in a few years. And
that's something that came about as a result of the rounding.
As a result of rounding, yep. And the other good experience that I've had is the questionnaires that have been completed by parents and by staff. They pinpoint what I need to work on, what the school needs to work on, and you can really dedicate your effort to those things rather than gunshot all over.
Shooting in the dark and just hoping you'll
hoping
fix
you
something.
hit the target. Yep.
I was wondering when the questionnaires go out and the principals or administration are looking for suggestions, it must be a little difficult to receive some maybe not such good news, because I guess when you're in position of authority, you don't always hear bad news. It's, people don't always want to tell you the worst, and here you are inviting bad information potentially to come to you. How did you feel about that?
I think, well, at first I was very disappointed by some of the staff feedback. And I had 2 choices, 1 to be unhappy or 2 to make it better. And so I think all of us decided as principals, if we had a weak area, it was only fair to the staff and to the students to make it better. So we worked hard on those areas, and I was able to raise some of those scores with the second questionnaire, and was pleased to be able
I
to do that.
would guess that just the fact that there was communication probably helped some people feel better about the system.
And I've opened some opportunities for discussion among the whole staff that I maybe would have opened only to a few people. So, for example, when we were talking about scheduling for next year, I asked the whole staff, what's working well with your schedule and what isn't working well? And then we went from there to do our scheduling for next year. And
Did the scheduling change?
the scheduling changed some because people expressed a thought or two about having lunch late or not having specials at the end of the day. Specials meaning art, music, and Phi-Ed,
Sure.
right up until 3 o'clock. And that's the way we've scheduled for years. And we really listened and have done some changes to the schedule that I think are going to benefit everybody.
That's great. Now, when you were growing up, was there a particular teacher that maybe made an influence in your life, made you interested in education, or somebody that stands out?
I have had a number of people that have stood out in my education, and they were all people that really bonded with the students, that had a true interest in the students. So I would have to say that probably the one I remember the best is an 8th grade teacher that I had that she was Greek, and we just called her Miss K because we couldn't pronounce the last name. But she had a way of encouraging us and believing in us and making learning fun, and we wanted to learn with her. I had some teachers that didn't make it fun, and I still learned, and that didn't bond well. And then I'd have to say there was another person that was very helpful in my career choice, and that was a person that taught at my friend's elementary school. And I met these friends in middle school, well, we called it junior high school, and they had a favorite teacher at their school, and she would invite them into school to make bulletin boards for her. And she paid $1. And I didn't care as much about the dollar as I did about being invited to do it. And I can remember going in and having that opportunity, and how wonderful it was to work with her and help her put up her bulletin boards.
So being asked, again, participating.
Yep.
Leads interesting. You work with kids. You work with little kids. How do you keep your temper?
I think I've seen almost everything, and so nothing really upsets me. But first and foremost, I've been trained, but I also know this, that if I get upset, they get more upset. So if I would yell or if I would act disgusted, they would probably react in the same way and yell more. But if I can stay calm, I can help calm them. So I've had a lot of practice in doing that, because when I was first here for the first 10 years, we had a program for students with emotional disabilities. And I had a lot of practice from the first day of staying calm and helping them calm. And I had some training opportunities as a result of that, too.
I guess I'm just curious as a parent. How do you stay calm? I don't know.
Sometimes I have to laugh afterwards, because sometimes it's so ridiculous that it's very easy to stay calm. I can just see that they're...
See, but I'm learning that it's important not to laugh during.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that sends a really bad signal. So
yes, yes.